What's going on, everybody? Tim, Morphed Out Reptiles here, bringing you another video today. First of all, we want to thank you, each and every one of you guys, for stopping in, checking out the channel. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything we got going on here at Morphed Out Reptiles. Today's video, kind of want to touch on a topic, and that topic is going to be breeding results, what we're looking for, good signs, things like that. We're trying to get, just try to help out as much as we can, try to spread information when we can, and hopefully this reaches out to you, the viewers watching, and hopefully you guys can use some of this video to try to help yourself, get some signs or start noticing certain signs to see if your breeding schedule is on point, if your females are showing good signs and stuff like that. So the main thing that we do here at Morphed Out Reptiles is when we're going through breeding season, even beforehand, we start pairing, we start planning our pairings out months ahead of time. So if, for instance, if I'm saying, here we are, it's April, the end of April. So we'll probably start going through our breeding plan probably around July. July, I'll start writing some stuff down and seeing what girls should be ready for the end of the year. Here, we don't really consider anything a season because we do ultrasound. So we're going to breed females as they're ready. If they're producing follicles and everything's going the right way with sizing. Speaking a little bit on that with ultrasounding and follicle growth, we're really looking for the 14, 15 millimeter area. If I start seeing 14, 15 millimeter area on the ultrasounds, I'm gonna mark the female's tub, and we're gonna start, trying to, let's see if we got a male that's ready, if he's good, if he's eating, if he's ready to go. Then we'll try to get some locks on there and see how the interaction with them does in the first pairing. If they don't lock the first offering, which usually we'll leave them in there about 2 to 3 days, and we'll check every day. I'll come in and check real quick to see what's going on, and most of the time we'll be able to tell if they're going to be interacting or if we're going to have good results. And that could mean if you put a male in with a female, but you're not sure if I don't know if they locked because we didn't see it. If the male and the female are on completely opposite sides of the tub after the first night, 9 times out of the 10, they're probably not going to lock, because that's a good sign that, hey, either one of the two, could be the male, could be the female, just isn't getting the idea of, hey, this is what we're trying to do here. Now, if you go and the next day, like after you pair them we usually pair at nighttime just because that's when they're more active, is at nighttime. If we put them in there and then we check them the next morning and they're not locked, but like the male's kind of like over top of the female and what we call courting, that's a good sign. So we'll leave them alone and we'll let them go. We'll just keep checking them every couple of days. If I don't witness a lock within 3 days, I'll write it down that the male was in there, the dates that he was in there, and I'll take him out. And then we'll try to do the same thing. Usually I do every month. Every female that we breed here, it only gets 1 lock per month. So after we witness a lock, then they'll go to the next month. If we're breeding and we catch a lock on the 15th, then we'll just wait until the next month, try to put him in on the 15th, give or take a few days. Sometimes they're in shed, sometimes the female's in shed. If they're just going in the shed, I kind of don't pair, but if the female's almost out of shed, like she's already went past her dark blue phase and she's starting to clear up now, that means she's going to shed. It actually helps some males, especially younger males, it actually helps entice them to want to breed with the shed. And you can also use, if you have a male that you're wanting to get started, but he just hasn't gotten that lock with a female yet and he's a new male, I really encourage people, take a shed from your other male, like a breeder male that you already know is breeding. Take one of his sheds and put it in the female's tub, because it kind of might help that male, that newer male, want to interact because he's smelling the scent of another male. So it's pretty much like a little competition thing. And for us, it's worked out great. There is other things that you can do, but we want to keep this video just for like the basic basic to intermediate beginner with introducing them. If we always move the male into the female's tub, we never move the female out of her tub. Um, there's not really a rule of thumb. It's just it helps the female. In my opinion, it helps the female stay as less stressed as possible. And males, we want our males to get used to, if we're in breeding season, we want them to be used to, okay, you're going to go see this female. And then you might have another female. So like if we put a male in with a girl, they lock the first night. Next morning we check them, they're locked. That afternoon we check them, they're unlocked. That male gets pulled. And if he has another girl that's ready to lock in the same week or same time frame, we'll go ahead and put him into his next female's tub. And we usually do our breeding rotations with our males anywhere from 3 to 6 days. We kind of I don't, just do one female and then he goes back to feed, anything like that. If I can get 2 female locks in, a week, that's awesome with the same male. Our feeding days here are Sunday, so I feed on the weekend, so that means we have all week to breed it when we're ready and when the certain females are ready. So, again, if the animals are courting and you see the male on top of the female but they're not locked, that's a really, really good sign. That means that hopefully if we just keep going down that road and keep trying, then sooner or later we'll get a pair or a lock with those two. There are certain instances where I know it sounds weird, but we've had certain females just not take the certain males. I've had proven breeder males that were really, strong breeders for the season, try to put them in with a certain female, like, I really want to see what this pairing does. They just don't lock. I'll take a completely different male once I get frustrated with it after, trying to offer a couple times, 3 to 4 times, and just nothing's happening. Typically on the opposite sides of the tub again, I've taken another male and just been like, okay, well, this is our backup male. We'll put him in there, and boom, they lock first night. So, right now we're in prime, I don't want to say prime breeding season because our breeding is almost done pretty much. We only have a few females that we're still going through and actually breeding and having locks with the males. Those girls were a little bit slower to grow follicles and they weren't right where we expected them to be. So with the ultrasound, they have a few girls that are a little bit late to the party, but most of our girls for this year, the 2025 season, most of our girls are done and they've either had a pre-lay shed, an ovulation, or they're on the verge of laying eggs, or there are a few building. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you and talk about some of the signs with some of the girls almost ready to lay or just had their pre-lay shed. So let's go check out some animals and let's talk about those. Alrighty guys, so here is one of our first females that we want to show off, and this girl is actually, as you can see by our labels on the tub, this girl's already ovulated. And when you see the egg tab here at Morphed Out Reptiles, that means that she's already had her pre-ovulation shed as well. This girl was actually due to lay, so she had her pre-lay 3/18. Here it is April, it's after the 20th. So she's already a couple days past the 30-day mark. And I see this so many times. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, it's 30 days after the pre-lay shed. We still don't have eggs. Hey, every single animal is different. This is why it's very, very important to not only know your animals, but watch them and check on them all the time, especially when it's in breeding season and we have ovulations, pre-lay sheds, and everything like that. We check our girls every day, especially if we have tabs like these. And these are why all of these tabs are so important. The eggs, the ovulations. Where's my hand? All right, there it is. So the ovulation, the egg tab. When I see the egg tab, every day I'm in here and I'm going to check those because a girl could lay a clutch. We've had it up to as soon as 10 days after a pre-lay shed. And I've had the longest, I believe our last girl was one of our clutches this year, which we have 4 on the ground. If you guys haven't checked out the videos, slide over to the channel and check out our clutch update videos because we're putting them out there all year for you guys. And I think our longest girl was like 60 days past due of her pre-lay shed before she laid her clutch. So what I wanted to talk about with this girl, and you can actually tell she's super close to laying, and she finally notices her tub's open. She's trying to find out what's going on. So what we're doing here is we just wanted to show off real quick. You see all the bedding is pushed away. Now this girl, you can kind of see in the video, she has her spine, and around her belly is really, really fat. So all of her eggs are slowly starting to get pushed to the end of her tail. She's not really too tightly coiled up. She's been moving around like the last couple days, so I'm hoping that we get a clutch sometime this week from her. Um, but I don't stress. I just come in here, I check. Okay, she's still in the hot spot. She's still she's moved all the bedding out of the way, so she's directly on the tub base and everything like that. And yeah, it's cool. We just keep checking her every day, and we'll wait for her to give us some eggs. So let's go check out another girl. I try not to disturb them too much after they've had their ovulation. We do a full bedding change on the ovulation, and then we kind of just let them do their thing. Besides spraying them here and there to try to keep the humidity up. But let's go check out another girl and let's see some other ones. Alrighty, guys, so here we have another female. So this is a hypohet tri-stripe. Now, this girl just recently had her pre-lay shed. I think she's been about a week. So again, once we put the egg tab on there, we just start checking. And as you can tell from that other girl, you can kind of see a little bit right where her head is. You can see the bottom of the tub, but she still has some bedding under her. She hasn't moved all of her bedding away from the tub yet. So she's slowly working on that, and she'll do that over the next couple days, couple weeks, and we'll start seeing that over time. And as you can tell from the girl that we just showed you, that girl, she had no bedding away. All of her bedding was completely away from her, and she was getting ready to lay. And the reason that these girls do that is because they want to be as close to the heat source as possible, especially when they're expecting those eggs to drop soon. They want to be close to that so that they can keep them nice and warm, and they get into the habit of doing the maternal incubation. And so in the wild, these girls, the eggs, whether it's summertime or wintertime or whenever they're laying in the wild, because there is no breeding deadline in the wild. You guys got to remember that. These guys do whatever they want. If a male finds them and they're ready to go, it happens. So the females are already prone to know that their body heat is the only thing that's going to keep these eggs at temperature while they incubate. So it's pretty neat how we can see in captivity that these girls are just going through, doing their motions. And again, it's a little bit different. Like you said, on the first one, you can see all the bedding move. This girl is just starting to get her little area done. So, and then, so yeah, she's on a good roll. You can't really see too much swelling on her too much. She does have, she is pretty thick all back here, which are all eggs cooking. And once they ovulate, that's pretty much when the eggs start fully developing. The eggs are fertile. They've been fertilized. So now they start turning into eggs, and they pretty much absorb the rest of the follicles that aren't fertilized, and then that's how they determine how many eggs they're actually going to give. Could we ultrasound this female and see close number proximity to see how many eggs she's going to do? Yes, we very much could. Are we going to, or do we do that? Absolutely not. I try not to stress the female out as much as possible. As soon as they have ovulation, that's it. We try to let them go, try to let them have a happy, healthy laying time, and keep them as calm and good as possible. So now this girl, we actually missed her ovulation. I did not physically see a big, nice ovulation swollen, but again, this is what happens, guys. So sometimes we miss things. They could have ovulated overnight and it could have been quick. 9 times out of 10, most females, you'll usually, if you're checking morning and the nighttime, you'll be able to see it and spot it. But sometimes we don't get that. But as you guys can tell, look at the signs that this girl is giving us. So obviously she's been off food for at least a month and a half now. She's got all of her bedding moved around, and you can see she has not eaten, and she's definitely thick. She looks like she's had a meal, but we know that she has not eaten. So again, these are just some signs to look forward to. Sometimes in the beginning of breeding, I don't have any right now because, like I said, most of our girls are already on track. Sometimes we'll get some girls that are doing a bowl wrap, which they're trying to cool their body down. That's good signs for follicle growth and follicle building. But once they start going back on the heat, That means that they're trying to get warm. They're trying to keep everything going. And this girl is really curious. She wants to see what's going on. So we'll close. Keeping up with the Kiki project. So this is another girl. She's ovulated. She's had her prelay shed, as you guys can tell from the tabs. She's another one that's slowly working the bedding away. You can see she's got some spots over here that are, she's kind of sitting on the bare spot of the tub. A little bit of bedding still over here that she'll end up pushing out once she gets closer to laying. But again, we're looking at their body language. Tight wrapped coils. We're keeping everybody's on the heat. Everybody's doing good. Nobody's out on the cool side. They're trying to keep the warmth as much as possible and the coil. Some girls just like to stretch out, but when they have eggs or they're building follicles, it's a good sign when you start seeing these coils. And again, being off food, if you missed an ovulation, it's a good chance that something's going on, and it's usually the female building some follicles. So that's pretty cool. This is she doesn't have a label because I need to get her label fixed, and we got to do some spot cleaning. But again, you know, it's very important. I try to leave these girls alone when they're going through, and yes, they'll poop and, you know, have a little bit of pee after they have their ovulation and their prelay sheds. It's not uncommon. Again, we do a full bedding change and everything once they have their ovulation and prelay shed, and then we kind of let them go. I try to let them just do their thing, and I don't want to disturb them too much or stress them out. So, this girl, as you can tell, she's got the ovulation tab. She's already had her prelay shed, and that's what the egg tab says. But as you can tell, she's still laying on bedding. So it's slowly a process of her starting to push all the bedding away and starting to get into that coil mode to where it's right on top of the heat tape or the hot spot of the tub. And it's just body language, guys. It's very important to understand and, you know, start to know your snakes. And you'll see this over the years. I see, you know, like this girl has no plans of moving anytime soon. She's got a lot of projects for us here. This girl is actually a super disco hypo. So just one of the girls that we have here, she's going to be giving us a clutch, which we're super excited. Now, this is this girl's first clutch too. She's never been bred before, and she's already on the perfect track that we'd like to see. So can't wait for her to be on a nice pile of eggs. And she's a pretty big female, so we're hoping for a nice size clutch. All right. So this is another one. So as you can see, we have no egg tab. We have no ovulation tab. So this girl is super, super close to ovulating. We've checked her follicles, and the last time that we checked her follicles was 3/16, and so March 16th, and she was at 28 millimeters. Normally 28 millimeters, when we see that, we don't even pair anymore. I won't put a male back in with her because it's really no point. We're just wasting the male's energy. Now it's up to her if she's going to go or if she's not going to go. So I actually want to see, let's see if she'll cooperate. Sometimes the girls can be a little. So here we have, she's coiled up on the heat spot. She, as you can tell, there is no bedding moved. So she is still just hanging out there, but she's not skinny. She's kind of thick. And she's kind of swollen. She still has yet to eat. She hasn't been on food. She's probably missed about the last month and a half, which is typical for females when they're going through. But this is just another girl. We can see her body language. We know that something's going on. And now it's just paying close attention to her. We check her tub daily when we come down to do our routine checks. And hopefully we're going to see her ovulating pretty soon. So again, as you can tell with the bedding, there is no bedding moved from the heat spot. She hasn't ovulated yet. So that's just another sign to when we start seeing our females kind of holding their shape, being, you know, thick, kind of like they just had a meal. It means good signs. She hasn't eaten about a month and a half, so she shouldn't be looking like she has a meal. And we'll start noticing some scale separations, especially when the ovulations start happening. All these scales, their scales will start spreading out and be really, really big and open during the ovulation process. There's another girl. So as we can see, ovulation and egg tabs are already there. And she's in this nice big coil. She's got all of her bedding pushed away. This girl's actually due to lay hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So again, it's just body language, and I wanted to show you guys, what girls tend to do, especially if you by chance might have missed an ovulation. And here we have, this is the prime example. Sorry for bouncing the camera around. We're kind of holding it with our hands instead of having it on the stand. But this is prime example. Okay, so we see this girl. She's kind of swollen here. She's already had her ovulation from the tab, but we don't see an egg tab. And that's because this girl is deep in shed. You can see her eyes, how they're blue. She kind of patterns kind of dull and like ghosted over. So she's actually in her pre-lay shed right now. And one of the things that I kind of, let me see if I can get in there on her. So as you can see, these scales, where's my hand? So these scales are starting to separate. They're starting to get some more spacing in them. They're not all bunched up like the other girls that we've shown. We're starting to see some spacing and some spread going on. And that's a good sign. That just means that the female is just pretty much developing. After the ovulation, those eggs are starting to develop. So that's a good sign. And that those big blue eyes, it's a good sign for the pre-ovulation shed. And as you can tell, no bedding is moved away, but she's already in the back spot of her tub, which is a good sign. So she's going to start moving. Once she has that pre-lay shed, she's going to start moving, and we're going to give her a nice good misting today, just so that we make sure that she gets that pre-lay shed off in one piece. And then once that happens, we'll end up changing her bedding, and then she'll be good to go until she drops her eggs for us. So here we have a female, and as you can tell, she's already had her pre-lay shed. She actually just had her pre-lay shed a couple days ago. As you can tell, she's kind of skinny on her tail, and all of her size is back here. So as they go through, once they have their pre-lay shed, and they get closer to laying, all that, the thick part of their body, all those eggs are going to start gravitating closer towards her tail. And you guys can see, this isn't just her. We're trying not to mess with her too much. But this isn't just her laying on her tail and making it skinny. No, she's not really thick down here. All of her eggs are cooking up here, and they're building and growing. And then, like I said, as they get closer to the lay date or being ready to lay, all that thick weight, it'll just start moving down, and then their tail will just plump up. And that's another good sign for people to watch out for, especially if you're worried about when they're going to lay, if you missed an ovulation. That's why I say, if you missed an ovulation, it's kind of a bummer, because we try to get all of that information jotted down so that we know and we can keep it for our records, especially with girls who have multiple years for us. I like to see how on schedule the girls are, and if they're, it's starting to get into a kind of routine. But the shed is very important as well. As long as we mark our pre-lay shed down, then we know that, we know when the shed was, so we know on average when we should start paying attention more and more. For us here, as soon as they have the pre-lay shed, I just always check them anytime that I'm in the room. It could be a couple times a day, could be one time a day, or one time at night before we head out of the facility. But it's just a good habit to get into so that we don't know that we don't miss anything. And again, if I find a female and she's got like a girl like this, if I find a girl and she's got like 1 or 2 eggs, I leave her be. So if I check this girl tonight, and it's late, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I see a couple eggs, I'm going to let her go, and then we'll check her again in the morning. And normally, overnight, by tomorrow morning, she should be done, and we should see a lot more eggs. And then we know that it's going to be safe for us to pull the female, get the eggs set up, and put them in the incubator, and get the mom all taken care of so that she can get back on food. Another big hypohepide female. So this girl has not had her pre-lay shed yet. We kind of missed the ovulation. I think I caught the end of her ovulation. Didn't really see too much like stretched out swelling like some of the other girls that we've caught this year. And that happens. Again, it happens. And as you can tell with this girl's the same way. Let's see where the camera is. So her tail around here is very skinny, and then you start seeing her plump up all the way up until her coil. So she's going to be going into deep shed. She's a hypo, so it's kind of hard to tell, but their eyes will still get that blue tone, even though she has basically like jet black eyes. We will still see that blue tone over the eyes when she's close to shedding. So another fantastic girl. That girl's actually been bred to our puzzle double het hypopide, so hopefully we get some hypopide puzzles at her. Alrighty guys, so there is just a few females that we wanted to showcase, especially most of the girls they've already had their ovulation, they've already had their prelay shed. We just really wanted to show their behavior and what they're doing at the back of their tubs with moving on the bedding and stuff. You know, it's very important, again, to know your females, keep an eye on them, start learning, especially whether this is your first breeding season or if you've been doing this for 10 years like myself. We've been breeding for 10 plus years, but even still, every year I watch the females, especially when we know that they have follicles and we've seen an ovulation. We always check because sometimes we might get a girl that doesn't, you know, I've had girls lay around their water bowl, their clutches before, which is completely weird. I'm not sure why, but it just happens. But everything that we do, guys, is a learning curve, and we love going every year and finding something new that we've picked up on or caught with our eyes in our collection. Every year is different, so we're trying to stay on top of everything and get all the information so that we can give it out to you guys, our viewers, and hopefully this video, you guys can take some good information from it. Hopefully you guys can see. I know we talked to a few people through daily messages, and we've had a lot of it. Oh, I think she's ovulating and everything like that. And it turns out it was just a pre-ovu swell. And then a couple weeks later, they show us photos, and they're like, "Whoa, she's definitely ovulating." You can see the scale separation that we were talking about. And again, guys, it's just a good learning, situation. We start learning our animals. Whenever we get a new animal in, we start the process all over again because we have to see what that girl's gonna do and how everything's gonna work. So again, I really, really hope that you guys, can use this video and, implement some of the things or some of the signs in your collection. We greatly appreciate you guys tuning in and checking the video out and just watching and hanging out with us. Again, we're trying to make it as positive as possible. We want everybody to succeed. So whether you're a first-time breeder or you're somebody who's got years and clutches under your belt, everybody's learning every year that we go along, whether they admit it or not. So you can always pick up on something new. So again, this is Tim with Morphed Out Reptiles, bringing you a little breeding update. And again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you guys are up to date. And hopefully we'll bring you some more videos with some more eggs dropping, because as you just seen, we have a bunch of females that are getting ready to lay for us. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.